UFC 275 Teixeira versus Prochazka takes place this weekend, and I'm going to go through the entire card, starting with the early prelims, ending with the main event, giving my prediction and breakdown for every single fight on the card, starting with the early prelim opener of Ramona Pascual versus Joselyne Edwards. I am leaning in the direction of Joselyne Edwards here. I think she's got more experience in the UFC against better competition. I know Ramona Pascual took on a very, very dangerous Joselyne Nunes in her last matchup and showed a lot of toughness in that fight as well, but she did take a lot of damage there, got hurt a bunch in that fight, but she is very tough, and that's something that you do have to take into consideration here. But Joselyne Edwards isn't really a kind of girl who's going to really put you away with one punch, so it's not really the toughness that I'm looking for. It's more just the technical skill of Ramona Pascual. She does have some grappling skill, but that was only when she was in wild exchanges against Joselyne Nunes, and Joselyne Nunes was able to find her way back up to her feet. I do worry about the grappling of Ramona Pascual at women's featherweight here. She is going to have a little bit of a mass advantage, even though the frame of Joselyne Edwards is going to be a little bit more here, a little bit taller, 70 inches of reach compared to 66 inches of reach. I believe she's such a better striker that she'll win this one on damage and strikes, because I know in women's MMA they do count control time, or people want to count control time more often. They tried to not really do it in the Ketlen Vieira versus Holly Holm matchup. You're not supposed to count control time like Jeff Molina versus Algas Amagulov, but it is always a worry because sometimes in women's MMA they just ignore that rule and just count it because there's not really much to really score in normal fights between women. So I'm going to go with Joselyne Edwards here, outstriking Ramona Pascual to a level where maybe some of the takedowns and cage control of Ramona Pascual aren't really going to matter as much. Jessica Rose Clark was able to out-grapple Joselyne Edwards, so I am a little bit worried, but I think she's going to do good at featherweight. She's young, 26, got a lot of time to improve. She's more experienced, and I think she's going to utilize that reach advantage on the outside and be a much more technical striker and win this one at range on the feet. Don't know why it's at women's featherweight. I guess Joselyne Edwards is moving up, but I think she's going to do good here. Tall girl, rangy. I think she'll pick her apart at range, maybe get taken down here and there, but she'll do too much damage on the feet for it to even matter. Joselyne Edwards gets the job done. Moving on up the card, Liang versus Silvana Gomez Juarez. I'm going to be going with... this is a difficult one to really side with, to be honest with you, because there's not really much to go off of here. But I'm going to side with Liang over Silvana Gomez Juarez. I just haven't really been impressed by Silvana Gomez Juarez. And Liang, 19-5, very, very experienced. 25 years of age. She's the younger girl. You've got Silvana Gomez Juarez, 37. I mean, that's sort of like when you're getting to the end of your career in women's MMA. She lost to Lupita Godinez very easily, lost to Vanessa Demopoulos very easily as well. And Vanessa Demopoulos was 6-4 going into that matchup. It's not like she's a world beater, even though she is quite a big name right now. Hasn't really beaten any real good opponents in her career, Silvana Gomez Juarez. Lost to Lipski, lost to Poliana Botello. No real good wins for her. And Liang, I know it's a similar situation for her as well, but she beat a 6-1 opponent, a 3-0 opponent, a 10-4 opponent. She had a bit of a streak going on early in her career, took on some good competition, lost some fights here and there, but I do believe that she's going to be able to go out there. I don't see Silvana Gomez Juarez finishing her, and she had like 2 arm bars in a row, and Silvana Gomez Juarez is coming off 2 armbar losses in a row. I don't think it's a bad idea to go with Liang by armbar. She had 2 armbars in a row in 2020 and 2021 against a 2-0 and a girl making her debut, I understand. But it seems to be a go-to move for her. So I'm going to trust that she's going to get an armbar here against Silvana Gomez Juarez, in all honesty. I'm going to go with that. I think she wins this one with an armbar submission. More experienced, younger. I reckon she gets it done. Moving on up the card, Kang versus Dana Batgerel. I'm going to have to go with Dana Batgerel here. Kang, I think he's done. You know what I mean? He had a moment where he was stringing together some really close wins against really subpar competition in the UFC. He's 34. He took a long time off, came back against Rani Yahya, rocked him in the first round, but then lost to Rani Yahya. Old man Rani Yahya. I mean, if Garbrandt loses to Yahya, I'm going to be shocked because Rani Yahya should not be beating people at this point in his career. And he beat Kang Hyun Ko. So, or Kang Hyo Kang, because the names have to switch around, didn't they? Dana Batgerel, I reckon, gets this one done. He beat Chris Gutierrez in the first round, lost in the second, got put away with a spinning back fist. spinning back fist. You know, I mean, it happens. People are going to get hit by them now and again. Chris Gutierrez was doing good in that fight, but even in the scrambling situations and the grappling, Dana Batgerel's just so much stronger than him. Picked him up at the end of round 1 and started raining down big shots. He's such a physically big and strong guy for the bantamweight division. I don't see Kang Hyun-ko's sort of like grinding, volume-based grappling game being utilized here. He couldn't really do that against Rani Yahya either, and I don't see him KOing Dana Batgerel on the feet either. So I think I'm actually going to call a first round KO for Dana Batgerel. He's probably a big favorite. What are people siding with in terms of picks? 78% in favor of him. I'm going to trust in that as well. Dana Batgerel gets this one done by first round KO. Kang Hyun-ko just isn't good enough, in all honesty, and Dana Batgerel has got talents. He does slow down here and there in fights, so if it does go into the later rounds, it could get interesting, but it's not even like Kang Hyun-ko showed good cardio in his last matchup either, so I'm going to have to go Dana Batgerel here. Kang Hyun-ko's shown me nothing to say that he can beat this guy. Dana Batgerel, first round KO, one of the locks of the card. Moving on to the prelims. Andre Fialho versus Jake Matthews. I'm going to go with Andre Fialho here. I am. And I'm going to pick him by late second round TKO, I think. I think he'll get this done in the second half of the fight, and I'll call it happening at the end of the second round. This is a really tough matchup for him, though. I don't see Jake Matthews beating him on the feet. I think the activity of Andre Fialho is going to be huge for him here. I think he's got this one in the bag. But Jake Matthews is very, very good. He's very underrated in this division. He does have some close fights here and there, and his main problem is he never really dominates people. So he always, like, scoots by. Like, even against Diego Sanchez, he beat him really easily. But it's like, that was sort of like, hey, Jake Matthews, go out there, make a statement, and get a big KO win. And he wasn't really able to do that. He lost to Sean Brady and got submitted in the third round. Had some good moments in that fight. A couple of decent moments here and there. But Brady was in control of that matchup in the grappling as well. He had some good control time. Eventually got the submission by arm triangle in the third. Matthews is good. He just doesn't excel in any one area. I'm looking for like a specialist to beat Andre Fialho. Like someone who's got really, really good stand-up that's going to expose Fialho on the feet. Or really, really strong grappling like Sean Brady, who's going to be able to just sort of ragdoll him. Or like be able to neutralize him on the ground. But Jake Matthews is a bit of an all-rounder. He's not really a massive guy for the welterweight division. He's not as short as they say he is. Google claims 5'9". He's in reality around 5'11". He's going to be around the same size as Andre Fialho here. Even if Google's trying to throw you off and say he's way shorter. He's a big guy, but he's not a big welterweight. I'm going to be trusting in Andre Fialho to wear this one out. I think Jake Matthews might have some moments where he's grinding him against a cage, trying to take him down, and Fialho's just going to be on one knee against a cage, elbowing him, punching his body, working his way back up, knees to the body and stuff like that. I just think Andre Fialho's got this one. Matthews can be tricky on the outside, so there's going to be some moments where maybe he catches Fialho with a good punch in the first, or chops his legs a couple of times on the outside. But I think when things get scrappy, he's going to be able to find that punch, because things are going to get scrappy in an Andre Fialho fight. That's typically how they go. And with Jake Matthews, when things got scrappy against Emil Meek, you know, Emil Meek really isn't top level competition in any way whatsoever. And for Jake Matthews to get dropped by him in that matchup, or at least wobbled and hurt badly in moments and smacked off balance, I don't trust that here against Fialho. I think if Fialho has you in that kind of danger, he's Andre Fialho, not Emil Meek, and he's going to be able to find the shutout punch. So I think it's going to get scrappy in the first. Matthews might win the first, but Fialho's been investing shots, landing some knees to the body, some body shots, and in the second round, it's going to start to change a little bit. Matthews has got a swollen eye. Fialho just has a little bit of a power advantage. Matthews starts getting scrappy and a bit sloppier, and then that's where Andre Fialho's going to find his moment. Second half of the second round, Andre Fialho KO. Really rooting for him as well, because I think he can go on and do great. And the activity is massive as well, let's be real. Jake Matthews has not been in the cage since March of 2021. He's been out for a year and 3 months with an injury as well. And Andre Fialho's been full steam ahead. He's had 3 fights this year. This will be his 4th. So this is the guy you're looking out for right now. That activity is going to be a huge factor. Wouldn't even be surprised if he got it done early when Jake Matthews is a bit jittery and shaky after a year and a half off, or a year and a quarter off. Moving on, up the card, Hayisaer Maheshate versus Steve Garcia. I've got to go with Steve Garcia here. I'm going to go with Steve Garcia. Now, I don't think he's that good, but he's consistently okay. And Maheshate hasn't really done anything to make me think he's that good. I mean, let's be real. He's a young guy, 22 years of age. I think it's a recipe for an exposure. Like, who was the guy? Rongju that came over into the UFC. Much better credentials than this guy has. And he had like a way bigger resume, so many fights on his record, a really good record as well. He looked good, and then he came in and kind of got exposed a couple of times, and it was like, okay. And then this guy, he fought nothing but absolute cans. 10-12, 0-0, 0-2, 10-15, 0-2, and then fought a 7-0 guy on the Contender Series. Edged out a decision after getting like kind of smacked up a bit in the first round. He came back in the second and third and edged out those rounds at a very slow pace on the feet. I think Steve Garcia puts a pace on him, breaks him down, and he's the guy who's going to win like a shutout performance. And I reckon get it done by like TKO to ground and pound. Late second, third round. Second half of the fight, TKO to ground and pound Steve Garcia. I think he's going to wear on Maheshate. And Maheshate, like, listen. Korean Zombie said that Asian men don't get, like, it's unfair on them. If Maheshate wasn't Chinese, he wouldn't have got a Contender Series contract. That's all I'm going to say. They want some market from China and from Asia so they can compete with ONE FC, with these Asian events. What do you know? He's on the Asian event in Singapore. I think he's young, too young. Garcia's a veteran of the game. He's been around for a long time. He's been competing since 2012. That's a decade in the game compared to Maheshate starting his pro career and only career at 2019. I think Garcia's way more experienced in MMA. Fought better opponents. Ricky Tercios, split decision. I know it's a small guy compared to a bigger guy in Steve Garcia, but still Luis Pena, decision. He fought Alon Cruz, Joe Warren. Like, these are some like veteran names. 21-6, 16-6, 7-1, 10-4. Way better competition. He'll win this one. I don't see Maheshate getting a KO on him either, so that lowers his chances even more. Steve Garcia, late rounds TKO. Moving on. Up the card. Seung Choi versus Joshua Culibao. Now, I'm going to go Seung Choi. But do not sleep on Joshua Culibao. Been watching a lot of his fights in the build-up to this. He's actually pretty good. And he's got 17% of the vote. And 83% are going with Seung Choi. I agree with it. I don't agree with that wide of a margin. I think Seung Choi probably wins this one 6.5, 7 times out of 10. I'm not going over 8. Out of 10 times that he wins it. Joshua Kalibao's pretty good, man. He had a razor-close fight with Jourdain. If Jourdain didn't do some damaging blows at the end of round 2, that's a Joshua Culibao fight. Joshua Culibao has been looking good. He's young. He's got good stand-up. He's not really going to be facing a guy who's going to want to grapple him too much in Seung Choi. I reckon on the feet, you've got to side with the... I believe he's a national champion in kickboxing or Muay Thai. Muay Thai national champ is Seung Choi in 2014 or something along those lines. He's very, very good at stand-up. He does get a bit messy in the grappling, and that's how he got choked out by Caceres. Threw an illegal knee as well, and that sort of messed up the whole fight for him. He looked like he was on his way to a finish, and he smashed him with a knee in the face, and wasn't a good look. Little bit of bad professionalism there from Seung Choi. I hate the mix-up of the name orders. Why? Just range it the way it is. Why do we have to switch it up? Sorry. Like, if his name's Seung Choi, Google, list his name as Seung Choi. Don't do Choi Seung Woo. Let's just adjust and work with them here. Rather than, no, this is how we do names, and this is what we're going to mess up Guru on with his fucking prediction video. But either way, Seung Choi, better stand-up than Joshua Culibao. A little bit of a reach advantage as well, and for a guy with the stand-up credentials that he has, that 1.5 inches of reach is going to go a long way. He likes to stay rangy on the feet as well. I reckon Seung Choi is going to win the first 2 rounds. First round clearly, second round close. Third round, we start to see some volume of Culibao start to play a role, and it gets a bit scrappy, and Culibao probably gets the third round after a close loss in the second. But I'm going to go with 29-28, Seung Choi. He gets this one done. Culibao a little bit weak, a little bit smaller than Seung Choi. It's not 6 foot to 5'8". They're going to be about 1 inch or 2 apart in height, but Seung Choi, bigger guy. He's got a good chin. He's got better stand up. I'm picking Seung Choi here to win. Decision. Close one, though. Moving on. Up the card. Brendan Allen versus Jacob Malkoun. I'm going to be going with Brendan Allen over Jacob Malkoun. Now, Jacob Malkoun has impressed me since his debut. I mean, he came into the UFC and he got the Phil Hawes card immediately. Very explosive fighter. And he got KO'd in the first round. It was his debut. He honestly looked like he was shitting himself. I'm just going to say it how it is. I've rewatched it. If you watch that fight again, that's not a Jacob Malkoun who's like, I'm going to win this fight. That's a guy like, oh God, I'm going to get KO'd in my debut. Oh God, here it comes, bang. And then he goes down. You know what I mean? Came back and beat Abdulrazak Al-Hassan. Hustled him in some of the grappling situations as well. Same situation with AJ Dobson. The thing is with Brendan Allen, he's very, very big for the weight class. I do not see him getting out-hustled in the grappling by Joshua Culibao. And that's just something that Joshua Culibao has sort of relied on in his last few matchups to win, you know what I mean? Like, he's had some little pitter-patter moments on the feet, but he's been working a more of a grappling game to find his way to success. Jacob Malkoun, not Joshua Culibao, reading the wrong name, but even still, Jacob Malkoun has been working his grappling to find a way of success. And I don't see him being able to do that to Brendan Allen. You know, he took down Abdulrazak Al-Hassan 8 times, couple of submission attempts. It was close on the feet other than that, and used that to win. He took down AJ Dobson 6 times and controlled him and landed shots here and there, and he used that to find himself the win as the fight went on. Brendan Allen builds as the fight goes on, and Malkoun has won his last few fights by building as the fight goes on. I think that cancels that out. Brendan Allen's bigger, stronger than the other guys he's faced, and he's just improving as a young guy himself. I'm going to see a Brendan Allen. What am I going to see Brendan Allen getting? I think I'll see a Brendan Allen 30-27 shutout decision win. Malkoun's going to stay tough, but Brendan Allen's going to get this one done by decision, 30-27, have a great performance and start looking towards the top 15 of middleweight again for another try. He's still so young in his career. I mean, Brendan Allen's still 26 years of age. Same with Malkoun, but the experience difference is night and day. So I'm going to go with 30-27 Brendan Allen. He won't get out-grappled by Malkoun. He won't get out-struck by Malkoun. I don't see a way of Malkoun winning unless he gets a finish. And I don't see that happening because he didn't seem too explosive. So Brendan Allen gets it done 30-27. Out-hustles him over the distance. Moving on up the card to the main card. Jack Della Maddalena versus Ramazan Emeev. Jack Della Maddalena is who I'm going to go with. It's a close fight. Ramazan Emeev is not a guy that you need to be overlooking. He's a very, very good fighter. They're similar size at welterweight. 35 years of age for Ramazan Emeev. And I'll be honest, listen, I thought he got robbed against Danny Roberts. Clues in his name. Danny Roberts robs them all. I thought he got robbed in that matchup. But at the same time, don't you dare ever make it close against Danny Roberts. If you're any way good, and I'm to believe that you're at the level that some of these other Dagestani guys are, don't make it close with Danny Roberts. Don't not do anything with the grappling against Danny Roberts. And that was a while ago as well now. I don't trust him against Jack Della Maddalena. Jack Della Maddalena showed great grappling defense in his Contender Series fight. He gave up a bad position, but he fought out of it, and he had some good moments there scrambling, and he's really good at Granby rolling out of positions, and he keeps a massively high pace as well. Ramazan Emeev has a very slow-paced style, and I think if Jack Della Maddalena forces him into a high-paced fight and finds those body shots that he likes, because Ramazan has a very high guard, I think Jack Della Maddalena is going to slow him down and finish him in the 3rd round by TKO against a cage. Body shot, headshot combos. I can see the pace of Jack Della Maddalena being a problem here. I think he's on a win streak right now. He lost his first 2 fights. So he's on a massive win streak. Got over his Octagon debut jitters. He's on the main card. This is a nice flight for him as well. People are forgetting that. I know people see like a white guy and think, oh, they're going across the world to get to Asia. But being from Australia, it's like a neighboring country to get to Singapore. So, well, not neighboring, but close enough. You know what I'm saying? To have a nice, reasonable flight to get there. So that's a massive advantage for him over fighting in America. I think that's going to be a factor here. Much more comfortable fight week. Got over the Octagon debut. Wasn't the best of competition in his debut, but I think his pace and hustling is going to get this one done. I think he's far better than Danny Roberts. So I definitely see him beating Ramazan Emeev, who doesn't have much power, not much finishing ability whatsoever. Coming to 35 now, had a bit of time off, Della Maddalena wins this one and finishes him in the third round using his pace. Moving on, up the card, Rodrigo Bontorin versus Manel Kape. My guy Manel Kape gets it done. I believe in this guy. I didn't believe in him in his debut. I actually thought that Pantoja was going to beat him, and I picked Pantoja to beat him because it was a little bit too much too soon, in my opinion. But I paid attention to this guy at Rising, has some really good wins over there, and people didn't really know about him when he first came into the UFC. He had a bit of a following as well. I think he should have won against Matheus Nicolau. I think he was robbed in that fight. I think he did barely enough in the third round to win. And Matheus Nicolau is a capable fighter, just beat David Dvorak. Not a very pretty performance, but he beat David Dvorak. Like, he's beaten top-level names in the flyweight division, so it's not like that close decision loss has aged poorly. Matheus Nicolau's still doing his thing. Beat Tim Elliott as well in a close fight, but Tim Elliott is not like... Most people mention that name as a meme, but Tim Elliott is actually a good name when it comes to the UFC flyweight division, which is weird to still say. But Manel Kape looked great against Zalgas, who just took Jeff Molina to a close decision, destroyed him in the first round, destroyed Ode Osborne in the first round, who just had a great win against Zaruk Hadashev, but still he got a first round KO there. So I'm really liking Manel Kape's momentum right now with the KOs. He's fought over in Asia many times before, so this is a normal trip for him to go over to that part of the world to get things done. Used to fighting Ryzen, of course, and he has a really good amount of wins at Ryzen. He beat Kai Asakura, which is a very good win. He beat Takeo Mizugaki over there as well. He beat Nakamura over there as well. He beat Ian McCall over there in 2017. I mean, these are really good wins that maybe some of them are past their prime. He did lose to Kyoji Horiguchi, but had a good performance there. But these are good wins. He lost a split decision the first time to Asakura. They made the rematch. He beat him by KO. That's an underrated win. Kai Asakura could come over to the UFC and make waves of his own. So I like his experience outside the UFC. I like that he's found his feet inside the UFC. The momentum and confidence of 2 first-round finishes. And Rodrigo Bontorin, you know, he can be cracked and wobbled here and there. He got cracked and wobbled by Matt Schnell. He won that fight, though. He lost to Brandon Royval in a very close fight, but Brandon Royval's way more wild than Manel Kape. Manel Kape's a lot more calculated. He got finished by Kai Kara France. I reckon we're going to see a finish here, similar to the Kai Kara France one, in the first round. Manel Kape's got really underrated grappling defense, really good scrambles. I think he wins this one by TKO in the first round. Moving on, up the card, Zhang Weili versus Joanna... Zhang Weili versus Joanna Jedrzejczyk. I think my burp was just stopping me from trying to say that surname, because I'll never get used to it. I'm going to go Zhang Weili. I saw the promo of this, and Joanna Jedrzejczyk said something like, "That loss to me made me better." And everyone in the comments was like, "Oh my god, that quote from Joanna gave me chills up my spine. She said the loss made her better. The loss made you retire for 2 years." Let's be honest here. I'm rooting for Joanna Jedrzejczyk. She brings excitement into that division, but I'm picking Zhang Weili. The only reason Joanna really had a chance in that first fight they had, it was a very close fight. I'm not saying she didn't have a chance, but the only reason she did well was the volume and the pacing of her fight that she had against Zhang Weili. Zhang Weili was more of the power puncher in that fight, and that's how she got the nod with the decision, by landing the more effective, damaging shots, whereas Jedrzejczyk was landing more volume. It being 3 rounds doesn't favour Joanna Jedrzejczyk's style, in my opinion. I think it's a lot easier for Zhang Weili to use her power advantage that she has across 15 minutes rather than 25. And I think Zhang Weili's massively improving her grappling game. She might mix in more grappling for this fight, because I bet you this, Joanna Jedrzejczyk has not been grappling as hard as Zhang Weili has over the past 2 years. I'm going to side with Zhang Weili winning this one. I think she'll mix in the grappling on Joanna early in the first round, make Joanna think about that, and I think she'll mix in the stand-up where she needs to. I just don't see Joanna Jedrzejczyk getting a finish. I can see Zhang Weili getting a finish. And I don't think she's been committed to the game over the past few years, man. She's been off on this holiday and that holiday, and she's on this beach and that beach and over here and over there. It's just... Zhang Weili's been training, moving her whole gym, trying to reclaim championships. I can't match a comparison between those mindsets. Zhang Weili's going to win this one. She's more devoted to the game. Joanna and Jedrzejczyk's going to lose, I reckon, by decision, 29-28. Maybe she starts doing well in the third round, and Zhang Weili, who's used a bit of grappling early on from training with Cejudo and improving her grappling over the past year or so, is going to start to slow down in a later round from using those grappling moments. But Joanna and Jedrzejczyk's going to do too little, too late, and she'll win the third but lose the fight, 29-28. And people will say, I wish this was 5 rounds. It'll be a fun fight. I wish it would have been 5 rounds, but it's not 5 rounds. I'm leaning toward Zhang Weili, 29-28, winning the first 2. Moving on, up the card, Valentina Shevchenko versus Taylor Santos. I'm going to go Valentina Shevchenko. Don't mean to have a hot take, you know what I mean? Like shocking news. I'm going with Valentina Shevchenko here. Sorry, guys. Didn't mean to shock you. Contain yourselves, you know what I mean? But I think she wins this one. There's not really much to break down. Taylor Santos is 19-1, which is a good record, but the level of competition that they've both fought is night and day, really. Shevchenko's been at the top over the past 5 or so years, longer than that even. And Taylor Santos has only just made her way to the top. She lost to Mauro Romero Barella by decision and got out-hustled across the distance. It was a close fight. She arguably could have won it, but Mauro Romero Barella's given you problems in your debut. That's 2019 as well. I know she's young and she's now turning 28 and she's going to have a chance. I just think that Valentina Shevchenko is really going to outstrike her at range. I reckon Taylor Santos will go to the distance, maybe get around, maybe at one moment drop Shevchenko off balance. She has got some power. I think this is going to be like a Jennifer Meyer-ish performance from Shevchenko in terms of competitiveness, not in terms of the style. I think it's going to be a striking matchup. I don't see Shevchenko getting out-grappled. I don't see her really being able to force the grappling on Santos, because Santos has shown good grappling so far in her own career. I see just Valentina Shevchenko maybe getting hit with a couple of big shots here and there to make the crowd go, ooh, big shot. Shevchenko barely gets hit. She got hit. So she'll get hit a couple of times, but she'll win. Shevchenko wins this one at range, chopping up the legs, going to the body, jabbing away. She doesn't even have a reach advantage, but it doesn't even matter. Most women can't fight. And Shevchenko's going to win this one. I wish Taylor Santos would have had another fight to prepare. I honestly think they should have done Chookagian rather than against Ribash, just rematching Shevchenko on this card, because she had a decent scrap with her the first time, but lost, of course. And that would have bought time for these Fiorots and Santoses to build themselves up a little bit more. Getting a win over Calderwood and then, a title shot, I just don't like that. So I'm going to go Valentina Shevchenko here. Way better fighter. I don't really need to explain myself. I just think it's going to be competitive more than people think. And people will respect Santos's toughness or the fact that she made it close or the fact that she kind of got around. You know what I mean? That kind of stuff against Shevchenko. Shevchenko wins though. Moving on. Up the card. Glover Teixeira versus Jiri Prochazka. I'm going to go with Glover Teixeira. I'm going to go with Glover Teixeira over Jiri Prochazka. I like Jiri Prochazka. Majority of people are picking him here. I can't be doubting Glover. I think this is his time to make some big money in his career. I know Jiri Prochazka, this is his time to become a world champion in the first place and make some money, but I really see Teixeira winning this one. Jiri Prochazka has had a problem in a lot of his fights, and it's on the ground. You know, and there's been people in the UFC that have not shown problems on the ground, that have fought Teixeira, and then he makes them experience problems on the ground. Like, he'll take a guy who I believe has great takedown defense. Jan Blachowicz, good takedown defense. He's improved. He's improved his takedown defense. And then ragdolled in the fight. It's just Teixeira's style of worrying about a takedown coming and having to worry about some big power hooks on the feet, which Jiri gets hit with a lot. He gets hit with those hooks on the inside because he's not as defensively aware as a lot of people make him out to be. He got cracked a lot by Ozdemir in the first round. Quite a bit. Rocked multiple times in the first round. Got rocked against Reyes in the first round as well. I know these people might have better technical striking than Glover, but it's mixed in with the time for me to get the belt. All of that pressure. Main event of a pay-per-view. All of that pressure. Loads of money on the line. All of that pressure. What's Teixeira going to do with me? Is he going to swing heavy KO blows, or is he going to shoot takedowns and destroy me on the ground? I trust Teixeira to win. I really do trust Teixeira to win, and I hate the fact that they've dared make him an underdog. Jiri is a 2-1 favourite. How? Can you not learn from your mistake? I see this 50-50. I'm leaning Teixeira. Underdog? Big underdog? When will they learn? I get Jiri has a long reach, a big chance of winning. I just don't think he gets this one. I think he gets a little sloppy at times. On the aggression, he switches stances a lot, so he'll throw like a rear uppercut and then step through and then throw a lead hook with that same hand. Rear uppercut, step through, lead hook, straight left. And then it's like, while he's switching those stances, getting aggressive, I think Glover's just going to double leg on a square stance while he's trying to switch coming forwards. I just think Glover's got this, and it hurts me to say that. I really want Jiri to win. I really badly want Jiri to win. I don't think he's got this one, guys. I really don't think he's got this one. I think Glover's got it in the bag. The mix-up, the championship bout, all the pressure on Jiri. Glover's been here before. He's fought for belts before. He's won the belt now already. It's just about defending it a few times and securing retirement and keeping the training up. Didn't take any damage in his last fight against Jan Blachowicz. That's a rare sign for Glover Teixeira, because normally when you're talking about a Teixeira coming in, you're thinking, well, he got dropped twice by Thiago Santos. Maybe Jan Blachowicz is going to be the guy to finally put him out. But Teixeira's coming off no damage. He's healthy. I reckon he gets this one against Jiri. I think he does. I think Jiri's going to go out there. Maybe have some exchanges on the feet where he gets clipped by Glover. Maybe shake off a couple of takedown attempts early on. But he's going to be under pressure. He's going to be moving backwards. He's going to find some moments. He's going to land a couple of shots. He might land a partially blocked flying knee on the chest area of Glover, and Glover stumbles back a bit, and Jiri gets aggressive, and then the double leg comes from Glover Teixeira. I'm so hoping Jiri flattens this old man, and we can move on and have a promotable champ in Jiri. But Glover's got it. Glover's got it. Jiri does a thing on the ground where he scrambles and gives up his back. He just sort of chucks his hips up. He did this against Dominic Reyes, just chucks himself up, turns over, and just sort of like hopes they shake off and fall on the ground, and he ends up on top. I just don't see it happening against Glover. I see Glover, when he tries to buck up from on bottom, taking his back and choking him out. So I'm going to go with a Glover Teixeira first round rear naked choke over Jiri. Old cunts, you old fuck. You stupid old fuck. I'm going with Glover Teixeira over Jiri. Plus, Jiri has been taken down a lot of times in his career. Nemkov was on top of him, but losing. He was getting out damaged, and he quit on the stall at the end of the first, but he got him down easily and kept him down. Same with Karl Alberichsen. Of course, Karl Alberichsen is not the same as Glover, but he's a good fighter and was a good fighter, still is a good fighter, and was able to keep Jiri down for a bit before gassing and not being able to do it anymore, because Jiri's conditioning is actually really impressive. I just think Glover's better at capitalizing if he can get you down, and many fighters have been able to get Jiri down. So I'm going to go with Glover. Rear naked choke round 1. Like and subscribe. Thank you for watching. Click that button up there. Toodle pip. I'll see you later. Goodbye.